was a study. And I was like, that's crazy, because this boy literally finds the hardest thing he can to hit his head on. And he jumps from the highest places for that stimulation. You know, he wants to know his body's there, so he would jump, and it was a shock to us. I'm like, he's going to break a leg, an ankle, because he was getting bigger. You know, 4 and 5 years old. He's still little, but he's jumping off of these high places, and he had no fear, and he had no pain. You know, and I think he had pain, but he was so resistant to showing us that he felt pain that, you know, I was just really scared for him. And so we did take away milk out of his diet. Oh, that was a bad day, too. That was like a bad week. That was a bad week, actually, because after about a week of him throwing this hard sippy cup, it hit us in the head so many times. Then we knew what he felt like to get hit in the head. That poor kid. So yeah, the milk went away. We took gluten totally out of his diet. He started to, because he wanted the chips, he could still have his chips because they were gluten-free, the Lay's. So we could still have those, but other things, because by this time, when he was 4 and 5 and 6, he wanted mac and cheese all the time. Mac and cheese, mac and cheese, mac and cheese. Oh my God. And I was like, okay, the noodles, they're not gluten-free, and they're the cheese and milk. Oh my God, we're going to be like, so we literally had, when she wanted mac and cheese, she could not eat mac and cheese in front of her brother, because we would go, and I was like, you put it in the bag, and you could take it, and he can have something else. You cannot have mac and cheese. We took hot dogs everywhere we went, because even though they had nitrates, they were gluten-free, and they were meat, so you can have hot dogs, you know. It was just crazy. So I tried to cure him, and I got to tell you that the diet, after he got the milk out of his system, within the first week of the milk being out of Abraham's system, he gained like 3 or 4 words. He went to school. He was in preschool, and we had kept him in preschool for 3 years. And then he went to preschool, and the teachers were like, he was talking today. Like, he started talking, you know, just words like, and they're like, he's putting like little 2 and 3 word sentences together. Like, what happened, like, overnight? And I was like, no milk. I took milk and I put it in school. I actually brought our own casein-free milk. You know, this is what he has to have. It was soy milk. It was so gross at that time. Now we have all this yummy stuff like almond and cashew and stuff like that. Ugh, it was soy back then. But he got used to it. And I feel like these were little things that God had put in my, you know, in my path, you know, because I was going to cure him. And I wasn't asking God to cure him at that time. It was, what is mom? Super mom's going to do this. I'm going to do this for him. And little by little, you know, I got exhausted. I got more exhausted because I was trying to do everything. You know, and I can't do everything and be mom and dad, and can't do everything. And that's, I think, when I was really in that dark place, when I realized that Cheryl needs some help. And that pit that I fell in, that I felt like that I put myself in because I wasn't, you know, I had all these outside resources that were trying to help me, but God was the ultimate help. He was the one where I got my strength back. He was the one where I was able to be like, okay, I feel peace in the midst of the storm. It's okay. I can breathe. We can get through this because God has already won this. I had awesome church family that helped me, and every time I'd come to church, I'd be like, pray for Abraham. Pray for Abraham. You know, keep him in your prayers. You know, we had a really bad day today, and you know what? They all understood, and they all prayed, and they helped, and they were so just genuinely concerned and loving that it really helped me as a mom with autism. So, yeah, my Abraham, it's been good days and bad days. And the struggles are not the same struggles that they were when he was little. It's just like any normal neurotypical kid. They change. And now Abraham is no longer, 60 pounds and a little string bean. He's 6 foot. He's 5'9.5". He's probably 6 foot because we haven't been to the doctors in a month. And he's about 250 something pounds. Last time we weighed him, he was, I think, 57 pounds, almost 260. He's a big boy, and he's only 13. And he's really strong. And he's violent. And, most days he's not violent towards me, but he's violent towards his sister, who is unfair too, really unfair. So if you want to pray for anybody, keep Jenna in your prayers. Yesterday he took a knife to her. She had to jump out of her window. It's not fair. It's not fair to my daughter, who loves Abraham, but still, she can't call me. She calls me at work and says, I'm in the bedroom, and he is walking around back and forth, and he's got a knife, and he's saying, today you're going to die, Jenna. And she jumped out of her window, and I said, run. I said, I'm coming. I work 2 blocks away from the house. And I told my boss, I got to go, and I left. And I found her on the corner of the church, barefoot, no coat, because she just had to escape. She had to run. And I pulled up, and I said, get in the car, and she has her dog. Her and her dog jumped out of the window. She's like, I didn't want him to kill Charlie. And I said, he wasn't going to kill Charlie. He loves animals. He would have just killed you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He loves the cat and the dog. It's you he has problems with. I'm so sorry, Jenna. I love you. So I get in the car, and I'm pulled up into the front of my house, and Abraham is standing outside the house with a knife in his hand, looking like this. Just like a scary movie, like one of these nightmare movies. And I'm like, I didn't recognize him. I did not recognize Abraham. That was not Abraham. I looked at him, I'm like, I could see the knife in his hand. I get out of the car, and I took 3 or 4 steps, and we're about from here to the back pews. And I said, Abraham, what are you doing? And he just stood there. It was a devil. It was a devil's spirit in his face. And I said, Abraham, what are you doing? Honey, what are you doing? And about that time, his head came up, and he looked like this, and he looked down at the knife in his hand, and he threw it backwards. And I said, Abraham, come here, honey. And I start to walk to him, and he still has his hands like this, and he walks to me, and I hug him, and he's just limp. He said, I was going to kill Jenna. I was going to kill her. And at that time, the police pull up. And my sister-in-law, Cassie, Tia, pulls up. And the cops jump out of the car, and they said, hey, what's going on? And as a mother, I'm going to be like, nothing, go away. We're fine. You know what? We don't need this issue. You guys are a whole nother issue, and we don't need this. We're fine. And Abraham says, I was going to kill my sister, and the knife is over there. What? Why would you tell them that? Like, I want to protect you. I don't want to tell them nothing. They don't need to know nothing. Later on, Jenna said, Mom, this is what had to happen, and for us to get help. Because we can't just keep saying nothing's wrong. Because maybe she don't make it out of the house next time, and we're going to her funeral. See, I struggle with his violence. Last week, he punched a kid in the face that was there visiting us, wanting to be his friend, and bloodied him. And like, And I'm like, it's okay, you know what? Because this kid is 14 and comes from a broken home and his parents don't want him and so he has nowhere to go. I tell him, come over to my house because I love this kid, Jaden. You know, come to my house. And then my son assaults him. Have him coming over and be insulted, and I don't want to push him out. And so like I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do, you know, because Abraham is becoming more violent as we even go on, and it's so hard. So yesterday he was charged with assault with a deadly weapon, and I don't know what's going to happen. I called his psychiatrist and talked to his scribe, and the scribe said, hey, we're going to get him in on Monday. We're not going to wait till the second week of March. Let's get him in. And I said, okay. So we go 10 o'clock Monday to go talk to them. We need counseling. I never want to go into that world. You know, my world of autism is in my house. And I've been very protective of our space and what goes on in my house. And only my church family really know the struggle. And the whole world out there, they don't need to know because I feel like they just want to take my child away. They don't understand. They just want to lock him up and they want to put him on more drugs. And so I'm like, I push that away. I push it away. I don't need that. That's just one more thing I don't need. But yesterday, it was out of my control. It was out of my hands. And like Jenna, she hugged me and she said, Mom, we just need to pray. And God knows what's best. And he would not allow this to happen. I mean, this happened. And the police are involved now. And they didn't arrest him. They physically didn't arrest him. But they arrested him on paper, and they released him to me, which he was at his Auntie Cassie's house. So technically, they released him to me, and she was there. Anyways, the struggle is real. You don't know what people are going through. You know, we don't know what our neighbors are going through. Because I come to church, and I put a smile on my face, and I dance. I dance. Because it's my release. It's me saying, God, I don't care whatever happened, whatever going on. I'm going to dance for you. And I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm not going in the river. I'm not taking my kids in the river. We're going to make it to heaven. And my thing is, I want Abraham to make it to heaven. He's so dark right now. His mindset is so dark and so evil. And I didn't put that there. It's the enemy, and he's open to that. And he needs God. He needs Jesus. It's the only thing that can help him. And maybe we need counseling too. Maybe this is what, he needs to talk because now he talks. He does talk. And he talks too much. I prayed about that. See, you need to be careful when you pray too. Because that boy tells too much. I mean, you don't just tell stuff. He's bad. I love him, but he talks bad stuff. Huh, Pastor? You can admit it. He tells you stuff and it's like, he likes shock factor. So he will say something that is inappropriate and you're just like, shh, and you're looking around like, who else heard that? Woo. He has an elephant's memory. So yeah, everything. So this is my life in autism. Do you want to say something? She's taken the blunt of Abraham's violence, punched in the face, like physically punched in the face. Just come up to her and punch her. He hurts her. And so a lot of things that Jenna goes through, and I'm like, well, what did you do to him? What the heck am I thinking? He's not always the innocent person. He has a violent streak. help?
I can teach you a couple things. I really don't want to teach too many restraints, but some of them are restraints because if your life is in danger and things like that, they teach you a lot of methods to, but he's really bigger than you. But it's other things that before I get to that point, you know your brother, so we can go through some things to really get out and help and restraints and get in control of the situation before I get there. I did not know, babes. And we can look into like that because I am SCM trained and I am MANT trained, and she can get that certification as well. So to help with things like that.
No, that's so scary. Safety plan, right? So that's what I have to say. That's my life. Question? Oh, those are the best. Yeah. Oh, when Abraham, he has really good days. He'll have good weeks. And those are the days that I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I revel. I just like, yes, we're having some awesome times. When we took Abraham to NAYC only because I'm a single parent. I'm sorry, I am. And my husband was like, I'm not taking off work for you guys to go run and play. And that's just how it was. And I'm like, but we're not going to run and play. It's for Jen and the other youth that I was taking. It's going to be awesome, you know. And he's like, well, take Abraham. Well, this is in a stadium of 45,000 people with echoing and the long lines. And oh my goodness, can you imagine taking your autistic child to that? I'm like, this ain't going to work. And then even the road trip, you know, to drive to Missouri, you know, God had his hands on Abraham. He did really good. He did really good. And that whole time that we were there, he did really good. I think we had a couple of the ones that we took with us that acted worse than my son. So it was good. We had a good time.
I gotta name names. Amen. So we do need to remember the good times. You know, we have prayed as a church. Every time they diagnosed and said Abraham would not talk, we prayed, Abraham talked. They said he would not be able to remember like his address. We prayed, he remembered his address. So it does work. I mean, prayer does work. I was just thinking of a moment, I don't know, Jenna, was less than a year ago when Abraham came up and prayed right up here. And she sat and wept behind him, and of course, Sister Cheryl was praying as well. Just for a moment. We saw it just for a moment. And that's what we celebrate too. So Abraham is a part of our church. And we're trying to learn how to minister better to those needs. Just so you know too, I know you can smell the food. We are at lunchtime right now, but we have Brother and Sister Taylor here. So if you got another few moments, half hour or so, can you hang out and we'll talk? We won't do the multi-campus thing. We'll just table that for the rest. I think this is a good conversation to keep going, and I don't want to interrupt any of it. So we want to hear from them, and then Isaac is here too. So we want to get them fed, and so we'll clear out and let you dismiss. I'll tattle on John just for a second, Brother and Sister Taylor. He just pulled me aside and he said, they were teasing me that I have a brother. And he asked me, now this is just point blank, he asked me, those are two white folks, right? I said, yes, they're. I said, they are. Well, he saw Isaac come around the corner and he says, I think I do have a brother. So he's shocked right now. John's a little shocked right now. He's trying to reconcile this, saying, he did ask me. He said, is that his natural child? I said, yeah, that's their natural child. John looked at me like, that's right. I said, can't you tell the identity? Doesn't it obvious? He looks at me like, no. So, thought Brother Innocent was here too. So, can you handle a little more? We're still recording. We're one happy family. Absolutely. And you heard from Sister Cheryl, they're part of our family, and she's hurting. And so the Bible says when one hurt, we all hurt. And when one rejoices, we all rejoice. And so are you ready for a little bit more? All right. We're going to ask Brother and Sister Taylor however they want. Just realize that you stand between you or lunch and these people too. Amen. Pray for Sister Taylor too. Just like me, she's been having knee problems, and she has to go back in for surgery in a few weeks, March 10th. So March 10th, put on your calendar, pray for her. They're going to manipulate her knee and try to get her the flexibility. So you already.
Well, thank you for allowing us to be here and to be a part of this, because this is near and dear to our hearts. Yes, Isaac